So I want to talk about food. Where to start? Man, you can say lots of things about it. Like you are what you eat. You talk about eating healthy. That's a good one. Um, you can talk about pretty much anything when it comes to food. But honestly, it just you can't you can't depend on knowledge when it comes to food. You can't you can't you can't start saying, oh, this is good and healthy, oh, and this is bad for me. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for, oh, this is healthy and this is good, oh, non-GMO, it must be really good for me. Yeah, let's take this one instead. You can't do that. And see, the thing is, just like there's two gods, there's destruction, and there's creation, there's life and death. Just to When food is the same way. Food carries life. It's not just about the nutrients. The nutrients in them are created because of life energy. There's actual life energy, like real life energy. Life has energy, and it's very real. It's right there. People call it organ energy, people call it life energy, and there's also death energy. Anxiety energy, um, depression energy, anger energy, stuff like that. Life energy, peace energy when you're actually at peace all the time. Real peace energy. There's food is the same exact same thing. There's Food doesn't escape this fact, and honestly, for what you lack of in spiritual energy, to be able to supply that that pretty much life energy, like that life energy within yourself, to be able to supply your body with the life energy that comes within yourself, like it's real. Like your spiritual body is real. It's an energetic body, and that energy can supply your body. It can supply it. But there's so much crap. There's so much. I wanna call it parasitic programs, parasitic parasitic beings, or parasitic anything, whatever you wanna call it, that drain your spiritual energy so much that in the end you're literally much dependent on physical food. And honestly, if that's not enough, you get addicted to it. You start to like it. You start to like it because you've done it so long and you know nothing else. Then honestly, you fall towards it. And honestly, that's what I'm going through right now. That's really the last step. Because if you think about it, if you don't if you literally go to work, you have a job, all for the basis of food and addiction. You're pretty much working for an addiction. Pretty much you are. You're working for the addiction of a food. Because, honestly, you've seen people that really don't need that much. And if things were just not destroyed today, like our environment, if it were back to the old days, then honestly, you really don't need that much. And honestly, if food today wasn't completely destroyed out of the life essence in it, you really won't need anything more than like a couple of fruits a day, maybe. Not even that. Like barely anything. Because you won't have to work for your food. You won't have to labor and spend all this energy on growing something that would naturally grow in nature, and nature like just has all the life energy it needs to do it. All you have to do is just stumble into it, and honestly, yourself will let you stumble into it eventually. Like yourself, the life energy, life essence, will like is connected to everything, and it'll detect that. It'll know it. And honestly, people don't even trust their own life energy, their own energetic body, and honestly, that's what's really killing them. You can't even come into contact with your own life essence, so you can't, I mean, you're just, it's like constant death around. I mean, it's like people are constantly sick and coughing because they're so full of literally death that they just, that's when they come into contact with a being that's like life. Like when I'm speaking with myself, with the life essence in me, and I feel that energy and it comes out of me, and people around me that are just full of death, like it's just, it makes them cough. It makes them almost like they start acting up, because the life energy in me is just like blasting them, and all that death energy is just coming right out of them. This happens all the time, and if you can't see that, you're just completely blind. Honestly, I mean, if you can't even see that that the real reality is within you, the energetic body within you. It's not just all physical objects and physicality and just matter. No, it's energy. It's like you are energy. The energy within you is connected to everything else in the universe, to everything, every last atom, everything. And honestly, if you can't see that, you are deceived. And honestly, whether it be food or anything, it's just coming to realize that you'll finally be able to just come out of this fake reality matrix you put yourself in, and to realize, oh shit, this parasitic being or whatever it is, God, what people call God, I mean, there is not one God. Yes, the Bible speaks of two gods, and people are so deceived that they can't even see that. They read the Bible, they preach religion, they preach the gospel, they do all these, talk about Jesus, talk about this, talk about Buddha, talk about Muhammad, talk about dragon stuff, whatever it is you talk about. I mean, it's like, sure, you can talk about it, and honestly, the truth is there. It's just people, the problem is not in the outside things. The problem is in the inside of people is corrupt. They're too busy living in this like fake reality outside themselves. They can't see that reality is within. Man, I went through that. I'll keep going through that. Honestly, it's a tough battle, man. I understand, but if you can't exit that, if you can't realize, I mean, if you, okay, put it this way, if you give up and just start working out here and just living out here all the time, and not actually seeing, like, not actually like having the minimal hope that the problems inside, and not and never giving up on the fact that it's you that's the problem, and you just haven't found it yet. If you haven't, if you've given up, I'm sorry, this video isn't for you. But if you haven't, and you really haven't, and you really are like, hold on, there's something wrong with me, and you realize that you're the problem, that is because you're like Google Gaga over the addictions outside of yourself, and the dangers outside of yourself, and then you realize that, oh, it's because you're weak, that you can't, that all these things that you're addicted. I mean, you're pretty much dependent on things. There's addictions. Once you leave the addictions, is a dependent. When you're dependent on things and realizing it's because you're weak, because you're disconnected from yourself, that you haven't to be dependent on them in the first place. And honestly, that's the last step before you actually realize, whoa, I don't really have to eat that much. Maybe it is an addiction. I mean, it's hard to come out of it, especially when you keep coming and working. And I mean, it's confusing even for me, because I'm like, what am I even doing? What am I even working for? Why am I even going to my job? I mean, honestly, if you have a home, if you have somewhere to live, a home, a warm place to be at. I mean, what do you, nice cars, a girlfriend. I mean, if you got a girlfriend staying with you, I mean, whatever, but I mean, like, what's the point of, like, all this dumb stuff? It seems more like a video game, like a game that you can't seem to stop playing. Stop playing the game.